Okay, everybody, we've got a quorum. Yeah.
I'm moving in. We should be closer to one.
Would you please stand for the pledge?
Oh, wait a minute. Are you
I'm
moving?
moving.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now I want to read the names of those town meeting members who have passed on in the last year. Edward Benetti Jr., Sandra Tanner, Patricia Lamountain, Carol Hannon, Nancy Turney, Martin Richard Kopka, and Elizabeth Prouty. Okay, now I just want to let you know that this is a large warrant. And it could run for 2 nights, but quite frankly, I don't think we can be done by 10 o'clock, honestly. I've been over it and I see what I see. Okay? If we're still in session at 10:30, we can assess what we can do. Should we be finishing or do we have to get another day? And we do have the auditorium for tomorrow, Wednesday, May 7th, just in case. Okay. So, Article 1. To hear the reports of the Finance Committee, other town offices and committees, or act on anything relative thereto.
Good evening. The Auburn Select Board makes the following recommendations on the annual town meeting warrant articles. Articles 3 to 21, 23 to 27, and 29 to 32, the Select Board voted to recommend approval of these articles. Articles 36, 38, and 41, the Select Board voted to not recommend approval of these articles. Articles 22 and 37, the Select Board voted to take no position on these articles. In Articles 1 to 2, 28, 33 to 35, and 39 to 40, the Select Board voted to defer to the petitioner on these articles. Submitted by the Auburn Select Board, Sarah Ruffley, Chair, Ann Kavanaugh, Vice Chair, Dan Carpenter, Steve Chambers, and Todd Kareem.
Thank you, Sal. Okay, Finance Committee, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Kennedy. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. The Auburn Finance Committee makes the following recommendations on the annual town meeting warrant articles. Articles 2 through 17, 23, 24, 26, 27, and 29. The Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of these articles. Articles 33, 36, and 41. The Finance Committee voted to not recommend approval of those articles. Articles 1, 25, 34, 35, and 37 through 40. The Finance Committee voted to take no position on those articles. Articles 18 through 22, 28, and 30 through 32. The Finance Committee voted to defer to the petitioner of those articles. Signed, Kevin Kennedy, Chair, Michael Marshall, Vice Chair, Patrick Jones, Trevor Sansucci, George Graham, Stephen Consiglio, and Andrew Shar. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee? Oh, yes, we have here the Clam Gleason presentation. Somebody? Okay. Yes.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dory Vecchio. I'm the interim town manager. I'm going to do a very brief presentation about Camp Gleason. I know a lot of you have seen a lot of our posts over the past several weeks on Facebook and other social media outlets to try to get everyone to understand the work that we've done in Camp Gleason, why we've done it, and how far along we are. So the overall project goals, we're building the internal and external structural improvements, replace the wheelchair ramp, replace existing stairs and retaining wall, replace existing overhang patio columns, and regrade and rip wrap to existing swales that convey flow from the parking lot to Eddy Pond. These are some of the pictures that I want to show you. This is work that was done between 2020 and 2022, structural and exterior improvements to the building. As you can see, or you could see, there we go. As you can see, the work that was done, we pretty much went down to the studs. And in some cases, we redid the studs. So there's been a lot of work since 2020. And then this is some more exterior progress. We removed the existing overhangs, new siding, re-roofing, new porch. If you go by there, you can really see how far along it's come. This is the interior progress that we were doing around the same time as the exterior. And it's a little dark, but basically we did go down to the studs. We had to pretty much gut the whole building. We had to re-insulate, put up drywall, ceilings, wiring, all of it. So the interior progress from 2023 to present is right here. Insulation, all in one. Rough HVAC install, rough electrical, rough plumbing, drywall, painting, and cleaning. And this is an important issue here. So we have unforeseen issues that we had during this project that I'll explain in the next slide. But one thing that we did know that a lot of people don't know, and it's very important for this vote tonight, is the project was initially approved in 2019 by the previous administration. As a cost-saving measure, they decided to have DPW employees do the work, which makes sense because there was no rush to get the building done. We have a facilities crew that could do it when they had the time to do it. So there was never really any rush to get the building done. But unfortunately, we only have 2 people in our facilities division. So they did that work while they were doing other work. So I just want you to know that because it comes into play when you look at the timeline of the project because it was initially approved in 2019. During that time, they also had to focus on other town buildings. So we knew then it was going to take several years. Now, the unforeseen issues were, it was pre-COVID when it was decided. So unfortunately, all the costs of materials skyrocketed. Also, the contractors that we were trying to bring in for HVAC in particular, they wouldn't bid on the project. They were just, it was very difficult to get people to come in and work. We utilized DPW staff for tasks, which did result in cost savings, but it did prolong the project. We also lost our lead carpenter during this time. So we had to go out, try to find another carpenter. He's been on now for probably about a year, and he's done a great job. And then we realized that there's an oil tank right outside of Camp Gleason, outside the building. So we recently had that removed. That was an expense as well. It wasn't something we considered. And we did find asbestos. So we had to do the whole asbestos removal process. It was in the pipe coverings and the floor tiles. The flooring and drywall was difficult to place due to the age of the building. So the building settled. So a lot of the walls and the ceilings, they're sort of slanted. So it took extra time to try to make sure that it looked right and it measured the right way. So this is the estimated timeline for the rest of the project. And as you can see, we're getting near completion. So this is the interior schedule. We're expected to finish that mid-June. And then the exterior, we figure early, excuse me, early, the water. Sorry, early to mid-July is when the exterior will be done. Sorry about that. This is the current funding for the building. It's $612,000. It's not what has been said, excuse me, it's not what has been said, which is $1 million, and not any of this was actual tax levy. So that's the end. Oh, I got it back. That's the end of my presentation. We can take questions when the question comes up. Thank you.
Okay, next. Then we have the fire station. Chief, thank you.
Mr. Moderator. Steve Coleman, Fire Chief. Tonight with us, I have Matt Salad from Tecton Architects, and we have Joe Sullivan, who is our owner's project manager from Left Field. They'll be doing a short presentation, should be under 10 minutes. And just keep in mind that during this presentation, one of the values that comes up is an article that you will be voting on Article 12 tonight. So we can, I believe, Mr. Moderator, will be taking questions during the actual articles of 12 and 13. So this is just the presentation now. I'll turn it over to Matt Salad.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Salad. I'm a project manager with Tecton Architects out of Hartford, Connecticut. My team specializes in the design and execution of public safety buildings throughout New England. And we've been working with the town of Auburn for a little over 7 years now on the feasibility study for a new fire station. Also with me is Joe Sullivan, your owner's project manager, who also has vast experience in public safety buildings throughout Massachusetts as well. So we've given a number of public presentations throughout the past year on this, so I'm going to avoid going through a lot of the history, but I'll jump right into the design of the station as it is now, and then we'll get into the costs that we're looking to vote on tonight. So the site is located at the former Chuck's Steakhouse parcel off of Prospect Street, with Washington Street to the south and Southbridge to the north. Dunkin' Donuts is right here, and the Veterans Park to the right. The former Chuck's Steakhouse used to occupy this portion of the site here. What we're looking to do is construct a new fire headquarters on the eastern portion of this parcel. With that, we would have a public parking lot right here off of Route 20 that would allow you to come into the site off of Prospect or down south from Prospect and into the public lot. And then we would be creating an exit only to the western portion of the site to avoid cluttering this intersection. I know it's a pretty challenging intersection as it is now. Staff parking would be located to the rear of the building. This portion of the facility would house the fire trucks. These are the apparatus bays. Over here to the south of the building, this is where a majority of your administrative offices are on the lower floor, and then on the upper floor is where the bunks would be and a lot of the living quarters for the firefighters. This area to the left of the plan would house on a ground floor, a training room and an extension of the Emergency Operations Center, as well as a fitness space and gym for the firefighters. This portion of the building will be a two-story structure. This is being constructed as a single story, but we're constructing it structurally so that it can support vertical expansion in the future. So if the fire department grows in the next 20 or 30 years, rather than building a brand new facility at a much lower cost, you'll be able to expand this vertically. You'll notice on the left side of the plan, there's also an area of green space that's also designated as future expansion. We're trying to limit the amount of impact on the site as much as possible so that we can allow for a future municipal use to be determined in the future, in the next 10, 20, 30 years down the road. We want to limit the amount that we're developing as much as possible. We'd also be constructing a firefighters memorial to the front of the building, which would allow a nice connection up to the Veterans Park, which currently doesn't have any parking spaces. And so with this project, we'd also be looking at providing some parking spaces so there'd be a little bit more access to the Veterans Park as well. No one's going to be able to read this floor plan, so I'll just sort of go over its basic organization just so you can get a sense of what we're trying to do here. This is the main entry that was located to the south of the plan on the site. Off to the left is where the training room would be. This is a large training room that would be utilized by your fire staff so that they could have regular trainings, but it'd also be available to the public for public use as well. So this is a town-wide amenity that we'd be creating with this. It would be a dividable room so that it can serve as two separate spaces that are smaller in size, or it can host one large meeting, as well as support of the Emergency Operations Center. And then this is the fitness space off to the back. To the right side of the lobby, this is where a number of your administrative and office spaces are, the chief's office, fire prevention, things like that, your EMS coordinator. One space in particular right here, this is located directly off the vestibule. This is a walk-off room. So this is actually like a small triage space where if somebody was coming in off the street with a medical emergency, they'd be able to get seen immediately by fire and EMS personnel while somebody prepares the ambulance, brings them around, and then transport them safely and effectively to the hospital. To the north side of the plan, this is the apparatus bays. So this lower portion is 4 bays for fire apparatus and ambulances. This bay off to the north is a maintenance bay so that they can do their own maintenance for fire trucks and ambulances. And then a number of supportive spaces that provide storage of equipment, their gear, and decontamination spaces so that when firefighters are coming back from a call, they're able to properly decontaminate their gear and their person, so that they can safely mitigate any cancer risk or anything like that they currently have at their existing station. On the second floor, this is a majority of their living quarters. So around the perimeter of the building would be their bunk rooms. They have bathroom and shower facilities, and then their living quarters here. There's a kitchen, a dining room, and then a day room, which is sort of a living room for these folks. It's a 24-hour shift that they're on for, so this is a place that they can make as their home when they're on shift, or when they return from a call to a difficult call that they can decompress. And again, the area to the left of the plan here is designated as future vertical growth should the fire department grow in the next 20, 30, 40 years. It doesn't ever need to be added onto in the future, but should the need occur, we're making sure that we're planning for that flexibility. So this is the design of what it will look like. This is a view from Prospect Street off to the back here behind these trees is where the Dunkin' Donuts is. And then Washington Street would be planned left. We went through a series of designs over the past year, working with the advisory committee. We actually held several public forums where we presented several designs and sought public input on the architecture. And ultimately, this is the direction that the community had elected to move forward with, which is in keeping with the traditional New England aesthetic, but while maximizing the amount of low maintenance, high durability finishes. So a majority of the building is clad in brick with pitched metal roofs and aluminum and glass windows. And again, this is the firefighters memorial out front, but we're really maximizing the low maintenance and longevity of this facility because it's really being designed for 50 years and beyond to serve the town of Auburn. This is another view as we come around the corner. You can see the public entry right here. This is that single-story space that houses the training room, the administrative offices down here on the ground floor, and then your bunk spaces and living quarters up on the second floor. Here's a view of what it could look like at night. We want to make sure that it's well lit, it's easy to find, easy to know where you're going, and this is a 24/7, 365 operation that serves the public, and the public needs to understand where they need to go at any time of the night, especially when they're seeking aid in an emergency. I'm going to hand the mic over to Joe if you want to talk about the project costs.
Thank you, Matt. I'd like to just go over costs associated with the building. They've done a great job, defining the needs in the program associated with this fire station. And I can tell you, just looking at the overall building and the costs associated with it, The construction costs are going to be $24,800,000, and that's a estimated cost at what today's costs are running for this type of facility. Additionally, we're showing $5,200,000, and that consists of a number of different items. One is the architectural services provided by it, the owner's project manager. It's going to be a lot of testing. There's some FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment associated with the station. And then there's going to be commissioning and other entities, communications of that nature that's included in that $5.2 million. One of the things financially and fiscally we wanted to make sure as owner project managers that we were carrying some type of costs associated with the tariffs that have been, going through the United States and maybe having some impact. We wanted to make sure that we identified a value. This number isn't a number that's just going to be spent. It's a placeholder specifically just for the impact if there is a cost of goods or services associated with any tariff. We have that as $1 million. Right now, currently through a number of different projects in the Commonwealth, we're averaging anywhere between 5 and 10% on a tariff number. We felt this was a great number to be able to attribute it to this project. So if you add up the 24.8, the 5.2, and the 1 million, it's a basic cost of $31 million total. But the town of Auburn has done something financially responsible for the overall cost. They allowed and they voted to utilize $8 million of free cash to actually make a reduction of the construction down to a $23 million cost. And what that did is it did a number of different things. One, it reduced the overall tax burden to the taxpayers. And by doing that, free cash and that type of fiscal responsibility, that's what those funds are for. It's for building in your capital structure as you move forward. Having walked through the existing station, it's not a question of whether you needed the building. It's about how we're going to get the building designed for the next 50 years and how we're going to pay for it. And I think the town of Auburn has done a phenomenal job to try to reduce those costs. And what does that mean for the medium household annual tax impact? It's $186.93 a year, which is about $46.73 per quarter. In all my 37 years, that's the least expensive impact to the taxpayer that I've seen of a station of this size and magnitude. And I commend the town and the effort and the architect for the program that they put together for this.
So just a couple other quick slides. One, I just want to touch briefly on why now. Why is this important now in terms of fiscal responsibility of approving this project? This is a graph dating back from 1996, and this is showing a trend line. And what this is indicating is what's called the construction cost index. This is basically a sum of goods that go into building a public building, lumber, steel, concrete, and labor. Going back to 1960, where this started at a number of 100, and you can see over time how construction costs have increased. Just from 1996, they've almost tripled in costs. And what's important with this is that during specific times of economic uncertainty, here in the end of the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, during the 2008 recession, and at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, the cost of construction actually retracted just for a brief period of time. And then immediately following that, accelerated again above what the mean average is. And so right now, when we're sitting here with the uncertainty of what the impact is going to be on tariffs, it's actually causing a lot of contractors to try to build in a backlog today so that they're not worried about work if there is a recession the next 1, 2, 3 years. What that means is lower costs at bid day. So what we're seeing now is the cost of construction trending down slightly. So you're getting more value for your dollar when you build today. If we wait a little bit longer, you might have this sort of impact that we had coming out of the dot-com bubble bust where prices escalated, and then what we had a couple of years ago coming out of COVID where prices went up exponentially in a very brief period of time. And we're starting to see that right now. Here's a few examples of some recent fire stations this year in Massachusetts. Charlton just bid their fire substation that had an estimated construction cost of $19 million and came in $2 million under budget. Southbridge just bid their fire headquarters at $24 million for the estimated cost. It came in $5 million under budget. Northborough had a $33.4 million cost for theirs, and it came in $26.9 million. And then we just bid the Munson Fire Station, which was a renovation addition estimated at $6.8 million, and came in $1.5 million below that. So we're seeing real bid values right now that are coming in below the estimated costs for construction based on that CCI index that I had pointed out earlier. And what that means is right now is a great time to really get the most value out of this project that you possibly could. So with that, happy to take any questions when the article comes up.
Thank you, Matt. So Matt and Joe will be sticking around. They'll be here if any questions come up when Article 12 and Article 13 comes up. But if I can, Mr. Moderator, I just want to recognize some of the members of the Fire Station Building Committee who are here in the audience that if, when questions come up.
By
And
all means.
I just want to thank them for all of their hard work through this project. They've been a fabulous committee to work with, and there are many members here today. I just wanted to recognize that. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, we now have a report from the planning board.
No, my name is Dr. Adam Menard. I'm the town planner. The zoning bylaw review committee worked on 4 zoning articles, numbers 18, 19, 20, and 21. For much of the last year, the committee voted unanimously to advance each of these 4 articles we placed on the town meeting warrant. The planning board held a public hearing on April 8th on the 4 zoning articles in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5. At the meeting, the planning board voted unanimously that Article 18 meets the reduced voting threshold per Chapter 40A, Section 5 as amended under the Acts of 2020, and to recommend town meeting adopt the article. Planning board also voted unanimously to recommend town meeting adopt Articles 19, 20, and 21 with a supermajority vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Doreen, do you want to give us Article 2, please?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 2, I move that the town meeting vote to fix the salary and compensation of elected town officers for fiscal year 2026 as follows. Town moderator, $296.
Excuse me, are you reading Article 2?
Yes.
Oh, okay, mine looks different, all right. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to start over?
Sure.
Okay, Article 2, I move that the town meeting vote to fix the salary and compensation of elected town officers for fiscal year 2026 as follows. Town moderator, $296. Select board chair, $1,740. Select board members, 4 remaining, $6,097. And town clerk, $87,000.
Okay, is there a motion? Good. Yeah. Is there a second? Yes, okay, we got a second too. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote on it. All those in favor of the article signify by raising your hands. Oh, I'm sorry, what to do with that? Yeah, I keep forgetting. Yeah. That's what happens when you get old. Okay. Okay, what's the code? I can't see it. Maybe only if we turned all the lights off, and I'd rather see the lights on.
Can the projector just get moved a little bit?
I think it passed, did you say 85 to 3? It passed 85 to 3.
Try to do what? Keep edit the slide so that the grading comes off. No, we would have to reprogram the whole thing. Okay. Next time, yes. Yep.
Okay. Now, by the way, I didn't say this before, all town meeting members have to be in front of the wooden wall back there. If anybody is not a town meeting member, they are to be behind the wooden wall back there. Okay? Now, before we have... What? What again? Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you mean, all right. All right, now we're going to go to, and before Doreen reads Article 3, Karen is going to give a presentation on Article 3.
Good evening. I'm Karen Harnois, the CFO Town Accountant, and I will give the presentation for the FY 2026 budget. So the first slide shows the summary for the 2026 budget. It has the appropriations, $86,228,447.15. Total revenue sources, $86,228,639.35, with an excess estimated at $192.20. The estimated levy, the excess levy capacity is 9.3 million, and there is a tax up to 2.5% of 2.5. The FY 26 revenues and expenses. So we're going to be looking at the categories of revenue for local receipts, the cherry sheet receipts, tax levy, debt exclusions and available funds, which bring us to the total revenue, and the appropriations. We're going to be going through the different categories for the different departments. So first, we're going to discuss the tax levy. The tax levy base for fiscal year 26 is 56.9 million. Then we added the 2.5% increase, 1.4 million. We added the projected new growth of $1 million, which brings us to a levy of just over $50 million. The levy limit is 59.3 million. So the percent of the levy limit that the town is being taxed is 84.30%. Now, the next slide shows the impact of the excess levy for the last 15 years, from 2012 to 2025. Not taxing to the tax levy limit has saved the taxpayers of the town of Auburn $75,708,139. A couple of more comments on the FY 2026 tax levy. As I mentioned, there's 100% utilization of the Prop 2.5, which is 1.4 million, adjusted new growth of $1 million, taxes at 84.3% of the total taxable levy, which means that 15.7% of the levy is not being used. And there was no consideration given to the use of the 9.3 million of the excess levy. And there is a 1-year reprieve on earmarking 1/10 of tax levy towards the 5-year CIP. The funds were redirected to the operating budget. Now, this slide shows the new growth of the 5-year average of $740,076 from fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 25. I'm going to talk about the fiscal 26 state aid, which is the cherry sheet funds. There is an increase of $297,659 using the governor's proposal for fiscal 26. The town state aid 5-year average is $772,570. So you can see that for fiscal year '26, the town is receiving $474,911 below the average. This is going to result in a greater dependency on local revenues and taxation to meet the budgetary needs, and we do expect volatility in state aid for the next several years. On the next slide shows cherry sheet history from 2016 to fiscal year 2025. Moving on to the fiscal year 2026 local receipts. The estimates are up 6.96% over the FY25 projected, which is an increase of $885,924. Interest income is significantly up due to a high return on investment, but any downturn in the rates will result in lower returns on our investments. Couple of other categories, just to point out, there was an increase in motor vehicle excise, $339,500, and now that's based on the FY24 actuals, as well as the hotel motel tax increase of $150,000, and again, that's based on the actual fiscal year 24. And as you can see from here, we are budgeting closer to actual, which again may result in a reduction on our free cash. The next slide is going to show the detail of the local receipts for the past several years, with an estimate of fiscal year 26 being $13.6 million. For fiscal year 2026 available funds, the estimate is down 40.21%, which is $1.8 million. But the reduction is primarily made up of the one-time uses of free cash and retained earnings. There was also in fiscal year 25, the budget provided for the cost of purchasing an ambulance for $400,000 from ambulance receipts. And the FY26 budget provides for a one-time use of $50,000 from Eastland Partners impact fees for public safety / DDIS support costs. And the next slide will show the detail of the available funds that we're using for the FY26 budget, almost $2.7 million. So to summarize the total revenue sources, $86,228,639, which is an increase of $1,770,240 over the FY25. And to show the breakdown of revenue with the percentages in the graph, we broke it out by the different categories of the tax levy being the largest at the 58 million, next being the cherry sheet state aid, the local receipts, the available funds, and the debt exclusion on the middle and the high school. Some highlights of the fiscal year 2026 budget expenditures. There's a few new recommended positions. There's a police patrol that's starting as of 1/1 of 26. 2 new firefighter paramedic positions that are starting as of 1/1 of 26. An assistant golf course superintendent, which will be paid for out of the Golf Course Enterprise Fund. A reference librarian that's budgeted for 26 weeks. An assistant position for the treasurer collector's office, which is budgeted for 2/3 of the fiscal year. And for the highway and fleet, there were some employees that were moved from highway and sewer, and to create a new fleet division for FY 2026. Now, also included in the budget is a recommendation for a sum of money in the salary wage reserve for union contracts that are currently to be negotiated, that are in the works right now. This budget meets contractual obligations for school contracts. It adds $35,000 to the DPW fleet to meet cost escalation for vehicle supplies. It increases fire overtime by $165,000. The Bay Path assessment is up 4.28%, which is just over $74,000. Our Norfolk Aggie is funded with estimated increases for tuition and transportation, and the FY '26 obligations are met for our solid waste and disposal costs. Pension and benefits are up 6.79%, which is almost $1 million. The Worcester Regional Retirement Assessment is up 11.7%, $605,000. And this amount does account for a discount of $99,000 if we pay by the beginning of the fiscal year. Our group health increase is estimated in the vicinity of 10%. And the town is considering mitigating a portion of the premium increases by offering a few premium holidays in fiscal year '26 and leveraging the trust equity balance of $11 million. Now a slide on the capital budgeting, which is going to be in the next article, but I just wanted to mention it here. The capital improvement budget is being recommended at $3,165,317. It's funded by tax levy of $1.5 million, free cash, $135,000, stabilization, $200,000, the CIP trust, $45,000, sewer retained earnings, $250,000, and bond proceeds, $977,000. Total recommended FY '26 appropriations, $86,228,447, which is an increase of $1,770,048 over FY '25. And the next slide shows the graph that breaks it out by purposes. You can see on here that we have education at 40.34%. Employee benefits, 18%. You have public safety at just under 14%. You have public works, 8.7%. The general government, 6.33%. And then you have some of the smaller sections of debt and interest, solid waste, public services, and inspectional economic services. So this graph is helping us to show where the money is going to be, is recommended to be spent for FY '26. Now here's the budget summary by department. And it gives the detail of what is being recommended for fiscal year '26. These are the departmental budgets. The next slide shows the cherry sheet charges, the overlay, and the capital budgets, along with some of the articles that are listed in the warrant. For a total annual appropriations, $86,228,447.15. And the last slide is just a summary of the fiscal '26 revenue and expenses. Revenues, $86,228,639.35. Expenses, $86,228,447.15, with an unobligated balance of $192.20. And the budget that is being presented for FY '26 is a balanced budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Now Dr. Chamberlain will be giving the school budget.
Everyone, my principal voice. My name is Beth Chamberlain. I'm the superintendent of schools. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. I'll give you a brief overview of our fiscal 2026 budget, looking ahead. As we do each time when we speak of our budget, it's guided by our mission, our vision, and our commitment to our kids, making sure that we meet the needs of all of our students, no matter what that might be. We're also guided by our strategic plan, which focuses obviously on teaching and learning primarily, the health, wellness, and safety of our students and staff, and our community partnerships that we value greatly. This year, the school committee priorities for this budget include maintaining effective class sizes, which we believe we've done, focusing on our anti-bullying resources and training and supporting students, focusing on the social and emotional health of our kids, obviously ensuring that our contractual obligations are met and that our faculty, staff, and students feel supported, and respecting the support that you, the townspeople, give to us each year, which we very much appreciate. Considerations for this budget, first and foremost, were staffing. We want to keep our class sizes reasonable so that our instruction is effective. But we have had to make some cuts to this budget. Our initial budget was at a 4.7% increase. This particular budget reflects a 3.81% increase. And to meet that, we had to cut some positions. We have a science teacher here at Auburn High School that's taking a full year leave of absence. We will not replace that person this school year. We had an elementary person who resigned. We are not filling that position. And we currently have 2 other placeholders in the budget based on student enrollment that will not be filled. We're just not determined quite sure where that's going to be just yet. We did also have to add 2 new positions. We've had a tremendous increase in our special education population, and we've had to add a special education teacher at Swanson Road and a district-wide speech and language pathologist in order to meet the needs of those special needs students. We've used our October 1st student enrollment counts as a guide. Our Chapter 70 funding this year increased by only 1%. In previous years, there were more substantial increases that we could use as an offset. We didn't see that this year. We've anticipated conservatively at 70% for our special education circuit breaker reimbursement. Medicaid reimbursement, which is one of the articles you'll entertain tonight, we've looked at $160,000, again, conservatively. And we have received some reimbursement from the students who lived at the shelter. There was an amount of money that we received for each day for each student that we've had. So in here reflects $257,916 in offsets for the funds received for those students. We have level funded our grant monies based on the FY25 amounts that we have for the 240 grant, which is our special education grant, Title I and Title IIA. We've level funded our supplies and materials. There have been no significant increases or any increase in that area. We did increase our bus fee this year by $25 per student. So we'll have an offset of $120,000. That's an increase of $20,000 from last school year. We continue to use offsets from all our revolving accounts as to the degree that we can for building rentals, our after-school programs, preschool, music, fine arts, and athletic, and our tuition revolving accounts. And this year we've budgeted for 74 school choice spots, for which we'll receive a $5,000 reimbursement per student. We did have to go out to bid for our transportation for the coming year, which was a little bit precarious to say the least. Many districts have seen double-digit increases in their transportation. AA Transportation was again awarded the increase. It came in at a 9% increase. Mrs. Stanek, our business manager, was able to get that down to 8%, which in relation to other districts was a very good situation for us. As we do normally, we have a 5% increase in our out-of-school, out-of-district placements, so our special education private school tuitions. We've met our contractual obligations, and our oil, electricity, and national gas pricing stays the same as we've been in our agreement with the town that we entered in a couple of years ago, so that's not changed. We continue to apply solar credits from AMS and AHS in the Rutland project. So our projected offsets total $4,017,685 in this budget this year. Student enrollment, we continue to stay steady. At our height, we had over 50 students from the shelter in town. We have been notified that the shelter will be closed by August 31st. We are seeing some increase in enrollment from Topograph, which is the Albert Street housing that's developed. Right now, we have, I think, about 23 students enrolled. At the time that that was proposed, they said we could potentially get 69 students. We have not seen that big of an increase yet, but we may. And this budget also accounts for 2 out-of-district placements that are residential placements. We had a student move in to Auburn who was already placed in a residential placement, and so therefore we take on that expense. And we have another student who is this year being placed residentially. So tonight we present to you a draft budget of $32,687,276. That's a $1.2 million increase. Again, it includes over $4,000 in offsets, and it equates to a 3.81% increase over the FY25 budget. I want to say how grateful we are to be part of this community. This body has always supported us. We have tried to be very thoughtful about the budget that we presented to you tonight. We recognize it's a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. We also know the commitment that Auburn has had to the school children of this community and the experience that it has afforded them, and many of those children belong to all of you. So I hope that you'll support us. We are thankful for your support, and I'd like to end with the quote, "History will judge us by the difference we make in the lives of everyday children," and your vote tonight will make that difference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. All right, Doreen, do you want to read the motion, please?
Article 3, I move that the town meeting raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide for and appropriate to pay town debts and charges for the ensuing year, the several sums of money in the proposed budget as stated in recommendation of finance, columns on pages 18 through 49 inclusive of the Town of Auburn fiscal year 2026 budget and annual town meeting warrant totaling $82,352,077, and to raise said sum by transferring from available funds $15,000 from cemetery lots and graves, $50,000 from pension reserve, $19,079 from wetlands funds, $30,000 reserved for appropriation dog licenses, $50,000 reserved for appropriation Casella host agreement, $1,650,000 from reserve for appropriation ambulance, $35,000 from overflow trash bags, $44,846.65 from high school, middle school debt reserve, $17,773.69 from premiums on bonds and bands 26135, $25,000 from perpetual care, $19,906.50 from the sale of Julia Bancroft, $9,981.56 from insurance reimbursement over $20,000, 260122, $50,000 from Eastland Impact fees, and $17,363.52 from DPU ridership, and by raising and appropriating or otherwise providing for the balance of said funds, each total amount as printed in the Recommendation Finance Committee column of the 2025-26 budget to be considered a specified departmental appropriation, and further that the Finance Committee is authorized to transfer between individual accounts which total any specified appropriation when requested by a department, and the committee feels such transfer is in the best interest of the town.
Is there a second? Okay. Now, as usual, what I'm going to do is I will read that budget summary. And as I go down the list, if there's somebody who has a question, they mention it and I mark it, and then we get to it at the end of the reading of the budget summary. Moderator, $296. Selectman, $11,537. Town manager, $474,954. Finance committee, $1,315. Reserve fund, $880,000. Department of Finance, 920, so I have trouble reading it, $920,616. Legal, $145,000. Human resource, $334,563. MIS, $409,434. The clerk, $226,869. Election, $33,863. Town hall, $57,500. General services, $1,750,552. School, $32,687,276. Baypath, $1,806,378. Norfolk Agricultural School, $95,500. Cable access. Did somebody say something on that? Norfolk, that's okay. Yeah, just make sure I hear you. Great, I marked it. All right, cable access, $196,534. Police, $5,327,251. Public safety dispatch, $913,901. Fire, $5,583,151. Department of Inspectional Services, $253. Appeals, $15,800. Emergency preparedness, $17,500. Department of Public Works, $6,726,642. Packagug Golf Course Enterprise, $771,782. Solid Waste, $1,477,653. Oh, I'm sorry, 633. Council on Aging, $196,875. Youth, $224,488. Veterans, $151,398. Library, $759,716. Debt, $3,004,516. Interest, $634,619. Employee benefits, $15,626,365. Total, $82,352,077. And now going back to Norfolk, somebody had a question. Whoever it is, please. Oh, yeah, fine. Yeah, I know what it is.
I can take that, Mr. Moderator. Norfolk Agricultural is a school where kids learn about agriculture. It's almost like a vocational school for that. But because Baypath, which is our vocational school, doesn't offer that programming, then the students can opt to apply to Norfolk Aggie and get accepted there. So I think next year we're going to have 3 students that will attend there. It's much like a vocational, but it's just a different focus.
Okay. Anything else?
Hi, Christina Nashville, District 1, Precinct 1. Just a question on the amount of, like, I see over a $40,000 difference between last year to this year. I was just wondering what does that encapsulate?
We do have an additional student this year, and if any student is special education, there's also a premium payment for that.
Okay.
And then we have to add in transportation.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Okay. We should be then, if nothing else, then we're ready to vote. All those in favor of Article 3, please vote. We'll turn on the voting machine. You think? Okay. 82 to 5. Okay, Article 3 passed, 82 for, 5 against. Article 4,
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 4, I move that the town meeting approve the 5-year capital improvement plan for the town manager, information technology, town clerk, Department of Developmental and Inspectional Services, police, fire, fleet maintenance, engineering, highway, sewer, cemetery, senior center, elder affairs, library, Auburn Community Television, Packagug Golf Course, and schools, as stated on pages 51 through 57 inclusive of the Town of Auburn fiscal year 2026 budget and annual town meeting warrant, and further to approve the appropriation of $3,165,317 to fund the fiscal year 2026 capital improvement program as specified on pages 50 through 57 under the columns entitled Finance Committee Recommendation, and to raise and said sums by borrowing and appropriating the sum of $1,558,317 from general fund revenues, $45,000 from CIP expendable trust, $250,000 from sewer enterprise retained earnings, $200,000 from stabilization, and $135,000 from free cash. I also move that the town meeting authorize the borrowing of $977,000 for a period of up to 10 years for the items identified in the 5-year capital improvement plan and any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds and notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of cost approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such cost by a like amount. I further move that prior to purchase, all over-the-road vehicles shall be marked on both shall be marked on both front and back panels as property of the town of Auburn for official use only, and have a permanently affixed town seal, and that the expenditure of funds so appropriated shall be under the direction of the chief procurement officer of the town or school department.
is there a second? There is a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will vote. This is a 2/3, by the way. Okay, what's the vote?
82 yes, 5 no, 1 abstain.
Okay, wait a minute. 82 to 5 to 4 to 1. 82 to 4 to 1? That's what I just, okay. Okay, it passed. 85 for, 5 against, 1 abstention. And now, Article 5, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 5, I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the town treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue to be received during the financial year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026, and to issue a note or notes that may be given for a period of less than 1 year.
Is there a second? There is a second. Okay, are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. This too is a 2/3, by the way. Okay, what's the count? 86 yes, 2 no. Okay, we will now go to, you now go to page 58, please, to get to Article 6. Yeah. Okay, Doreen?
Article 6, I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit applications for any available state or federal funds, including Department of Elder Affairs formula grant funds, which funds the board determines to be beneficial to the town, and to authorize the expenditure of any money received as a result of said applications.
Is there a second? Yes, there is, thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. This is just the majority. Okay. What's the number? 82 yes. Any noes? Okay. 88 yes. No noes. Okay, Article 7, we're moving.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 7, I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to sell at public auction or by sealed bid or at assessed value under special circumstances any properties which the town may have acquired or may hereafter acquire through tax title foreclosure proceedings, and to sign, acknowledge, and deliver in the name and under the seal of the town deeds, therefore.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. What is it?
81 yes. 81 yes. 6 no.
Okay. 81 to 6 to 1 abstention. So it passes. Article 8, please.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Article 8, I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the town treasurer to enter into compensatory balance agreements during fiscal year 2026 as permitted by Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53F, or any other enabling statute. If voted, this would permit the treasurer to maintain specific sums of money and deposit in banks in return for banking services.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Oh, there's some over here if you didn't see any over. Okay, got somebody, okay. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay, it passed 85 yes to 2 no. Article 9.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Article 9, I move that the town meeting vote to establish or renew revolving funds for various town and school programs in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53D, and Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 71.
Is there a second? There certainly is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. What is it? It passed 85 yes to 1 no. Article 10.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract or contracts with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the construction and maintenance of public highways for the period commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026.
Is there a second? Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote.
Yes.
87 yes, 1 no. Article 11.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate from available funds a sum of money if it becomes available from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Chapter 90 bond issue proceeds to be used for the repair and maintenance of town roads in conformance with the Massachusetts general laws.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Any questions? Okay, we seeing none, let's vote. to do something? Oh, jeez, okay, I'm prayerful myself. It passed 88 yes to 1 no. Article 12,
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 12, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $8 million to pay a portion of the cost of constructing a new fire department headquarters building located at 10 Prospect Street, and that to meet this appropriation, said amount shall be transferred from free cash, provided, however, that this appropriation is conditioned upon a vote of the town at the annual town election to be held May 20, 2025, to exclude from the property tax levy limitations of Proposition 2 and 1/2 the amounts required to repay any amounts authorized to be borrowed for this project by vote of the town adopted under Article 13 of the warrant of this meeting.
is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Wait a minute. 81 to 5 to 1. 81 yes, 5 no, 1 abstention. Article 13.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town, Article 13, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $23 million to pay costs of constructing a new fire department headquarters building located at 10 Prospect Street, including the payment of all costs incidental and related hereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7-1, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town thereof. No amount shall be borrowed or expended hereunder unless the town shall have voted at the annual town election to be held on May 20, 2025, to exclude from the property tax levy limitations of Proposition 2 and 1/2 the amounts required to repay any amounts authorized to be borrowed by this vote.
Is there a second? Yes. Are there any questions? There's a question down here. John? Is it John? You're dressed in the dark, John.
John Stetson, Precinct 5. The 2.5 override, how long is that gonna last for?
I guess, fire, Steve will be down to. Thank you, Steve.
Was it 5 years, 10 years, 2 years?
Through the moderator, it would be a 20-year borrowing through a debt exclusion, much like all of the previous, the last 2 schools. So it'd be 20 years on a debt exclusion.
Okay. Any other questions? There is.
Daniel Algis, Precinct 4. We were going to pursue this once the high school was paid off. The high school was paid off last year. Am I correct with that? Why didn't the taxes go down for the year.
Does somebody have an answer?
And where is the money gone that was gonna put towards the fire station? So that, all that money's been sitting somewhere.
Karen, okay.
I mean, that's a lot of money again, the taxpayers are getting hit on.
The debt exclusion is actually added over and above the normal taxation. So when that goes away, then there's no more over the 2.5 debt exclusion on that. So it's not part of the regular taxes, it's over and above. And the school, the debt exclusion did retire in fiscal year 2024.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm sorry, can you repeat if I didn't answer your question, can you repeat the question?
I just, when we originally looked into the fire station years ago, they were saying that it was gonna take over. So it wasn't gonna be that much of it. The borrowing was gonna be about the same as what the school was.
I think somebody's
Nope.
behind you.
Nope, okay, thank you. No, thank you.
So I'm Greg Bowling, I'm Vice Chair of the Fire Building Committee. So when you do a debt exclusion, it's an addition to the regular tax levy. It's for a limited term, so in this case, 20 years. The high school is a 20-year, the middle school is a 20-year. So that, like we showed, $186, that's added on top for 20 years. Once that debt is paid off, then that $186 goes away. But the budget increases every year, the aid changes, right? The valuation of properties change over time. So while you don't see like a minus, a lower tax bill, what you see is a smaller increase because that high school debt exclusion dollar was taken off of the tax bill after last year, right? So that's how debt exclusion works. It's a limited, so it's not a Prop 2.5 override, which just adds money indefinitely to the general fund. It's a debt exclusion, which says we're going to tax the money we need to borrow over and above the 2.5 for a limited amount of time for a specific purpose. And that's how all of the capital buildings have been done in Auburn. Basically the high school and the middle school have both been done that way. So, and that is subject to the vote coming up in the town election, right? So the public has to approve that debt exclusion. Town meeting is responsible for allocating the funds. The election comes after town meeting, so you have to do it kind of backwards and say you approve it or, contingent on that vote. But that's basically town meeting today saying we authorize the spending of the money, assuming that it's approved by the rest of the voters to use a debt exclusion to do that. Does that kind of answer how that works?
I was wondering the difference between the school, and we were talking 9 months, it's been paid off? August?
Yeah, about a year, roughly.
So if the taxpayers, I didn't notice my taxes going down.
They just didn't go up as much as they would have had the debt exclusion still been there. That's basically how that works.
We're just gonna keep going up and up and up.
Well, have you?
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, so somebody on the Finance Committee? Somebody on the Finance Committee?
Actually, Patrick Jones, representing Precinct 2. I'm asking this as a appointed town or elected town meeting member. On the OPM presentation, they said the contingency for tariffs was about 10%. But in actuality, $1 million on 23 million is not 10%. And the average contingency is usually around 10% for construction. The $1 million that they showed in the presentation isn't even 5%. So I'm really just looking for some clarification because they did show it above and below in their presentation. So I'm trying to understand, because if we go over that $1 million, the town has to find that money. So I'm just sort of curious why we're not at 10%. And the contingency cost to me appears to be more at 5%.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else? Oh, from the Finance Committee? Fire Committee, I'm sorry.
That was a great question, and I'll just put a little clarity that the $1 million that we assigned just for the tariffs is just for tariffs. We have a separate contingency for construction contingency based in that value.
Okay. Anything else? Somebody? Somebody down front?
Mr. Frost.
Still not ready.
Ken Frost, Precinct 4. Since the subject of taxes is discussed, what is the impact of passing Article 3 and 4 doing to the tax? What's the tax increase going to be for that? Just 3 and 4?
Somebody's coming down to answer, I think. Somebody isn't coming down. Yeah, there'll be somebody down to answer in one moment, or somebody over.
You got it? Okay.
I'll take a stab at this. Article 3 and 4 are the articles that approve the budget and the capital improvement budget. All of the taxes that we pay are based on the budget and the capital improvement budget, so the impact to the taxpayer is all of the taxes. This is a $186 per I think it's the average, like the median household, that would be on top of that. So 100% is Article 3 and 4. It's impossible, like, whatever you paid last year, similar to that, but probably a little bit more. There's no way to possibly answer that question without, like, figuring it out.
Let's not have a debate. Okay. Yes, somebody else? Okay.
I have
Yes.
a question. Is it on? Linda Doherty, Precinct 3. I just have a question about where the figure came up with that it's gonna cost the median taxpayer $186 a year. Where did that come from?
Through the moderator. So that is based on the median assessment of homes in Auburn, which we got from the town, right? And then the amount that we need to borrow. So if you take a $31 million budget to build everything that's included, we take the $8 million free cash that was allocated in Article 12, takes that off so we don't have to borrow that. So that leaves us with, a $24 million borrowing. And so or $23 million borrowing. So then that is the amount that basically we have to fund through a debt exclusion. So that's the amount that's used to calculate, what percentage of a household, what's the tax impact. So this was done through our banking partners and things when we go look at bond rates and what it costs to borrow. It says, hey, this is what it's going to cost to borrow that kind of, that amount of money. And then we have to then distribute it back over the tax levy to say, okay, what does that result as per $1,000 of valuation? So that's how you get, a 186 number. It's average, price of the house is 380, 390. And then the increase per $1,000 valuation, you do the math, and then it says, hey, that's about
I thought I had read that the median value of a home in Auburn was $234,000. Is that what it was based on?
No.
No, what was it?
At one point, it probably was, but today it's 386, 394.8, 394.8. It actually was over 400,000 when we were looking at this earlier. It's gone down just a little bit from there.
So if someone has a home that's valued at $384,000, they can expect to spend $186? That's all?
A year, yeah.
A year?
A year.
Okay, I didn't understand that. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to vote? I guess. Is there one more?
We have another question.
Nan Johnson, Precinct 2. I understand that the present fire building on West Street will revert to the school committee or the school department. I'm not seeing any heads nod here.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I understand it.
Chief is coming down.
There's also a number of practice buildings where the firemen can climb the tower and do, what happens to that building?
Through the moderator. So we have stated that the town's position is that if this were to pass, we would approach the school department and tell them that we are vacating and that we would offer our side of the building back to the school department. But that is ultimately a decision that the school committee, in consultation with the school superintendent, will have to make. So there's no way to know tonight what the future of that is. But it is safe to say that the town's position is that we would offer the building and or that side of the building back to the school department, and then ultimately they would decide what the use of that would be. In terms of the training facility, a good portion of that was constructed through a federal grant for $525,000, and then we invested about $140,000 of donated money for that project. So, we're close to $700,000 invested in that property. We do not have any intentions of moving that because of the cost. And as you saw on the original slide as well, we're trying to preserve as much of that space as possible for future use. So the plan is to leave the training facility where it is on West Street.
And allow the men to use it, then it's still usable.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yeah. The training facility will still be, occupied by us. We will use it, but the cost associated with potentially trying to move that to the Prospect Street site, it outweighs the benefit. So,
I didn't want to lose that.
oh, absolutely not. It's an integral part of our operation, so we will just maintain it at that property. Thank you.
Yes, somebody here?
Hi, sorry, Christina Nashville, Precinct 1. Do you have is it based on square footage? How my home's worth more or less than the average median, how am I be able to assess how much my taxes will go up? Is it based on a square footage, a certain price per square footage, so that I can get a better assessment of what my taxes will be?
Yeah, it's a percentage per $1,000 valuation.
Okay.
So, and I don't have the number handy what that was, but I suppose you could do it backwards from the math at 398, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, if your home is $750,000, then it's going to be more. If your home's evaluated at, $300,000, it's going to be less.
Definitely. I think that's a really important, if this does go to vote to the town, I think it's really important to be able for the taxpayers to understand what their exact impact's going to be, because I understand the averages, but most people are just going to want a bottom line dollar of what their, what the impact is going to be. What does it mean for me? So instead of having to do the math, if the math can be done for people and published ahead of time, I think that's only going to help pass the fire
Yeah,
station.
fair comment. We did it this way because it's a little easier for
Sure.
people to understand versus having to do math in their heads. But
Sure.
We
Totally
can
understand.
certainly
Thank you.
provide both.
Yes.
Yes, Russell Talisman, Precinct 4. The question I'm having, we're just hearing everything about how this is going to affect all the resident taxes and everything. Now, Auburn has a lot of businesses. Are the businesses going to be contributing in taxes to help fund the new station? Because the station is going to be protecting them also.
Yes, so similar to a residential assessment, it's the same assessment on the commercial tax base at the same rate that the commercial property is taxed. So if your taxes are going up by that much, their taxes are going up by the same percentage, right, based on the valuation. And we have a split tax rate, right? So.
Okay, are we ready to vote? I guess so. Let's vote. This is a 2/3 vote, by the way. What's the vote? 82 yes, 6 no, 1 abstention, which means it had the two-thirds vote necessary to win. Okay, Article 14. That's all right, you can applaud the win. You know, it's not church. Maybe you should.
Thank you,
but
Mr.
anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 14.
Yes.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $160,000 from Medicaid receipts within the general fund revenues to the Auburn School Department operating budget for fiscal year 2026 to fund supplies and medical, therapeutic, and educational services for significantly disabled special needs students, as well as nutrition and transportation to and from outside placement or within the district for special needs students.
Is there a second? There is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay. It has won 87 yes to 1 no. Article 15.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 15, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $4,405.94, which is the interest earned by the Auburn High School Gymnasium Health and Recreational Trust Fund to offset school department costs at Auburn High School in support of community health and recreation activities at Auburn High School Gymnasium and related facilities and equipment.
Is there a second? There is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. $82 to what? Oh, okay, 82, yes. That's it. Article 16.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 16, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $32,654.91 from McKinney-Vento receipts within the general fund revenues to the Auburn School Department operating budget for fiscal year 2026 to fund transportation for students to and from school who have become homeless during the fiscal year.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay? 86, it passed 86 to nothing. Article 17.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 17, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $1,609.60 from the foster care transportation receipts within the general fund revenues to the Auburn School Department operating budget for fiscal year 2026 to fund transportation costs for students to and from school who are residing in foster care placements during the fiscal year.
Is there a second? There is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Now, I think earlier. Okay. Okay. 88 to nothing, it passed. Article 18.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 18, I move that the town meeting vote to amend the Auburn zoning bylaws, section 9.3.12, accessory dwelling units, ADUs, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Do I? No, John. It's the darkness of the clothing.
John Stansel, Precinct 5. All of these zoning questions, these next 4 questions, is that just regular house cleaning, or is that something other than that?
Yeah. Adam's going to go. Thank you, Adam.
Essentially, yes, the state last August voted to change how it's August.
You want to use this?
I got it. So for the accessory bylaw, the state changed the rules governing these units last August, and these changes actually try to come into compliance with the state.
So this is not something that we want to do, this is something that's being forced on us?
Basically.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, John. Okay, Article 19. Oh, wait, did we vote? No, we haven't voted. There is another one? Is there any other question? I didn't see any. No, it's hard to see. Okay, shall we vote? It's okay with you? Okay, what is it? Okay, let me, 80 to 5 to 2. Okay, the vote was 80 yes, 5 no, 2 abstentions. Which means it won, passed, whatever. So now we go to Article 19.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 19, I move that the town meeting vote to amend the Auburn zoning bylaws to delete section 9.3.6, multifamily dwelling, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. This is a two-thirds. Okay. Okay, so let me, this is 19, right? 75, yes. 7. 6, 75 to 7 to 6 to 3. Good, that's why it's not 6. Okay, it was a two-thirds vote, 75 yes, 7 no, 3 abstention, that's a two-thirds vote, so it's passed. We now go to Article 20.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 20, I move that the town meeting vote to amend the Auburn zoning bylaws to add Section 5.3.4, reduced frontage lot, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote again. It's a two-thirds. Yep. 69, wait a minute, yeah, wait a minute, 69 to 15 to 2. Yes, the vote was 69 yes, 15 opposed, 2 abstaining. That's a two-thirds vote, so it passed. And now we go to Article 21, which is also a two-thirds vote.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 21, I move that the town meeting vote to amend the Auburn zoning bylaws by deleting Section 5.2.7 in its entirety and inserting in place thereof the following: 5.2.7, height in feet, buildings and other structures. Height in feet shall be the vertical distance measured from the mean of the finished ground level adjoining the entire structure to the highest extension of any part of the structure.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. It's again a two-thirds. Okay. 71 yes, 8 no, 4 abstentions. So it passed 71 to 8 to 4 abstentions. Now we go to Article 22.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Article 22, I move that the town meeting vote to amend Section 2 of Chapter 9 licenses, Section 9.12, dog license late charge, unlicensed dogs of the Town of Auburn general bylaws by replacing the words April 30th with the words March 31. And Mr. Moderator, I move that this town meeting vote to postpone this article indefinitely.
Is there a second to postponement? There is. We don't have to come. All those in favor of postponing? All those against postponing? It's postponed. Great, thank you. Article 23.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Article 23, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $6,618 from general fund revenues for regional housing coordinator services.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Is there a question? Are there questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay, give me a second, wait a second, 79 yes. That's it? Okay, Article 22, 79 yes, 6 no, it passed. That's Article 23, I should have said, yeah. Article 24.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 24, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $25,000 from overlay surplus for assessor revaluation, training, support, and services.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay. Oh, really? Oh. Okay, give us 73 to To 11? Okay, it passed. 73 yes, 11 no, 1 abstention. We now move to Article 25.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 25, I move that the town meeting vote to enact a temporary 180-day moratorium on the issuance of building permits for multifamily residential buildings as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant. I further move that the town meeting vote to amend Article 25 to add the language "or act on anything relative thereto" at the end of the article.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. This is a 2/3. Okay. Let me, 77? 7 no. The vote is 77 yes, 7 no, 4 abstentions. That means it reaches the 2/3 necessary and passes. And now we're heading to Article 26, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 26, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $250,000 from sewer retained earnings to conduct an asset management plan.
Is there a second? There is. Thank you. Are there any questions? Can we vote? We're waiting for the computer. It hasn't arrived, or it left? Oh,
Hi, sorry. Christina Nashville, Precinct 1. I just was wanting an explanation for what is asset management plan? Like, what is this money going to be doing? Thank you.
yes. Has somebody got an answer? Oh, okay. I'm looking all over and seeing.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Nick Schwartz, Sewer Department. So an asset management plan, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be inventorying all of the sewer system assets, all the manholes, all the pipes, pump stations, equipment, every part of the sewer system. We're going to have an engineering firm inventory those, come up with basically age, criticality, and risk of failure. And the goal is to have a long-term capital improvement plan so that we know the costs of maintaining this infrastructure going forward for the next several decades. In addition to that, there's going to be some other tasks involved, improving our GIS and things like that.
Thank you. Anything else? Are we able to vote? We can vote. You may vote. I would have done it the old way. I know how to do it, you know. 81 to 3? Okay, 26. 81 yes, 3 no. Article 27.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 27, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $150,000 from sewer retained earnings for sewer easement access improvements.
Is there a second? Yes. Are there any questions? Wait for. I have no idea what's going on. What? Oh, Christmas. Somebody's got a problem with their clicker. Not their fault. We had to, we'd go back to the old way of voting. Seriously. So what do you want to do? We can do it on the screen? Can you put it on the screen? Jesus. Yeah. Oh, okay. You think we'll get through it? No, there's another way to do this. Huh? No, trust me. It's up. It is?
Yep. Okay, yep.
Okay, you can vote. Okay. Praise God. Oh, I see. Good shape. I'm going to get a single mark before the night. There are some things that are important. Yes. You think? Really? Oh, okay. You must be dying too. Okay, good. Yeah. 80. Okay, Article 27, 80 yes, 1 no. It passes. Article 28, please, Doreen.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 28, I move that the town meeting vote to accept changes to the drainage easement along the private portion of Commonwealth Avenue and on 5 Commonwealth Avenue, as shown on a plan prepared by Land Planning, Inc., entitled An Easement Plan Located at 5 Commonwealth Avenue and dated March 20, 2025, and filed with the town clerk, contingent upon the owner-developer recording said plan and legal description at the Worcester County Registry of Deeds.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote.
No, the computer's freezing up because we have so many articles that it's getting bogged down now that we're so far into it. So we're just waiting, giving it a minute.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator, mine didn't work on the last vote.
Okay, John, can you help us?
What?
Open up.
Okay, I know what we can do. Do we have to count by hand? Yeah. I don't have to on the majority, I can do it by my eye. I think. You do? Okay. We're ready. I'm not gonna have to get 4 people yet to start counting. I'm ready, if you're ready. Praise God. Okay. 84, nothing? 84 yes, 0, 0. So 84, it obviously passed. Article 29.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 29, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $210,000 from cable retained earnings to cover unforeseen cost overruns due to rising construction material costs, asbestos remediation, and oil tank removal at Camp Gleason.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Yes. Yes, there's a question? There's 2 questions.
There's 3 questions.
3, okay, John first.
John Stencil, Precinct 5. What are we doing here? I understand we're rehabbing the building, but why? What are we doing?
Okay, somebody is going to answer?
My turn.
Huh? Oh, okay, good.
Joanna, did you hear that question? Okay, John, could you please repeat that?
John, you want to give the question so everybody can hear it?
Yes, sir. John Stencil, Precinct 5. What are we doing? What is the purpose of doing all of this to Camp Gleason?
Good evening, Joanna Paquin, DPW Director. So we're rehabilitating Camp Gleason so so that it's an asset to the community once again. We had some structural deficiencies in the past, and we basically gutted it to, as Ms. Vecchio said, we got it down to the studs and reconstructed it so that the community can use it once more.
Are there any other questions? Yes, somebody down here?
Yeah, my name's Russell Talisman. I'm with Precinct 4. I've been following this Gleason project for years and years and voted to approve monies to have all kinds of things done. I was there last week, and it is so close, but it's so far away. Now they're asking for another $200,000. That's going to finish the interior, but I'm led to believe that money's going to have nothing to do with the parking lot, with the sidewalks, with the landscaping. I went in the cellar. Whenever they framed it, the cellar stairs to go into the cellar is so not code. It's crazy, and you're not going to store anything in the cellar. because it's musty. That's gonna need a lot of work. I was told that on the bottom of the floor, unless they flood it to encapsulate it, there's asbestos. So how many more hundreds of grand are we gonna put into this? And how many more decades is it gonna take to finish?
So this warrant article is asking to allocate $210,000 from cable retained earnings. We're expecting for the project to be done this summer. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, because that's not gonna finish the parking lot, is it?
No, the parking lot would be it as part of,
There's a whole set of monies and landscaping and sidewalks. And you're definitely gonna have to address.
Really, you've got to come to a microphone if you're going to debate.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, she said it's gonna come to a conclusion, but it won't because it's not encompassing the parking lot, the sidewalks, the landscaping. If anybody was to go there and see the cellar, you're not storing anything in the cellar. It's a musty, that's gonna need a lot of work. And like I said earlier, the floor's gonna need to be addressed. So the spending on this project is far from over.
So if I may answer that question, and it's a very good question because we have come back to town meeting a few times. It is our final request. We do have money set aside already for the sidewalks, for the handicap ramp, for the driveway. All of that is already gone through the process that we need to procure the funds. So we have that ready to go. As I said in my presentation, we anticipate within the next 2 months, it'll all be done. This will solidify the funding that we need to continue, to finish this project, but we will not be back again.
John?
John Stetzel, Precinct 5. Why are we doing this?
May answer that. It was decided from a previous administration back in 2019 that we wanted to save this property. It is town-owned. It can be used for a multitude of things. It has been refurbished to a beautiful facility that we can use for public meetings, for private meetings. We are going to use it for our rec program and probably many other things. We're hoping this is the first step to doing something great with that property. So it was far before me, but if you take a look at it, there is some work that still needs to be done. And actually, to go back to the previous question about the basement, we're not storing anything in the basement. It has been cleaned out. We've done everything we needed to do there, but it'll be up and running in the next month or two.
Are there any other questions?
Daniel Hodges, Precinct 4. How much mold is in the basement? And will that mold travel up to all the sheet rock that was done, all the studs that was replaced, the electrical? How bad is it? It's 5 years down the road. Are we gonna be looking at a couple $100,000 to remove mold now?
I don't know if there's any mold down there, but we did have mold remediation as part of the project at the beginning. We are planning on doing some improvements down there, but it's basically just to keep the humidity down. We're committed to having the upstairs be usable for the community.
Okay, what would it take to bring this up to standards for swimming again so that town can have a beach with lifeguards? Is the problem with the pipes going underneath Route 20, are they clogged, are they blocked, or why isn't the water moving? Why is it stagnant?
So it is my understanding that, I'm not sure what the time frame, but there was a dam that was removed on the other side of Route 20. So the water level at this point is higher than the culvert. So at this point, the culvert is submerged. And it's my understanding that the Mass DOT has has looked at replacing that culvert, but I don't think that there's any plans of that right now.
There's somebody coming down behind you.
Joe Martin, Precinct 2. I'd like to move the question.
That was a motion to move the question. All those in favor of moving the question? There's a motion to move the question. And moving the question passed. Okay, so it's time to vote on 29. I hope we're going to vote on 29. Okay, it's time to vote. Jesus, 30. Oh, 30, okay. $65 to 13 to 2 to 3. Okay. The vote was 65 yes, 13 no, 3 abstention. Therefore, Article 29 passed. We now go to Article 30.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Before I read Article 30, I just want to state for the record, I've filed an ethics disclosure with the town clerk regarding Articles 30, 31, 38, 39, and 40, because I work for the legislature. Article 30, I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the select board to petition the general court for a special act authorizing the town of Auburn to offer expanded senior tax property abatements in the form as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant, and authorize the general court to make any revisions that are necessary or appropriate to the form of such bill.
Is there a second? There is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay.
Yeah?
Yes, mine's coming up.
What? What was that?
Yes, and it came up, no, was it there?
It probably doesn't matter. Can I be honest? There were 77 yeses. I think one missing one won't kill it. 77 to 5. Okay, so 77 to 5 to 4, even if there's a missing yes. So it passes 77 to 5 to 4. We now go to Article 31, which is at the bottom of the page in your book.
Article 31, I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the Select Board to petition the General Court for a special act authorizing the town of Auburn to offer expanded small property tax abatements in the form as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant, and to authorize the General Court to make any revisions that are necessary or appropriate to the form of such bill.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. Fine. 77, 6, 2. Okay. The vote was 77 yes, 6 no, 2 abstentions. Article 32.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 32, I move that the town meeting vote to accept Sections 22G and 221 of Mass General Law, Chapter 59, and Section 23G of Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Yes, is that a question back there? No. Okay, let's vote. Could have sworn there was one from- Okay, got it. 82, 83, to 1, to 3. The vote was 83 in favor, 1 opposed, 3 abstentions. Article 33.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 33, I move that the town meeting vote to allow permanent residents of 10 years or longer in the town of Auburn, upon reaching their 68th birthday, will have any residential tax increases deferred until the property is sold. A senior citizen must file annually a form to be provided by the tax assessor on or before April 15th. A copy of the deed must be on file along with proof of identity by providing driver's license or birth certificate.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there, a question? Yes, certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Joe Martin, Precinct 2. I'm not opposed to the concept of this, but is there going to be interest on the amount being deferred? And if so, what would the rate be? And if not, has DOR been consulted about this?
Okay. Has somebody got an answer? Yes.
This is a citizen's petition.
that has not gone through a vetting process in the town to determine how we would actually do this if it were approved. If whether interest is accrued or not, or if it's added on to the tax bill, that has not been vetted through any town department.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Somewhere,
Mr. Moderator,
oh,
may I make one comment just for the information of town meeting members? This is a petition that seeks to defer property taxes. Property tax is part of a structure within the statutory scheme of Chapter 59, and this is not in that particular statutory scheme. So town meeting actually has no authority to enact anything here. My recommendation would be you defer. Maybe the administration works with the petitioner in the future to come in and perhaps prepare a petition, much like you just passed on Articles 30 and 31, to seek legislative approval for this kind of an action. But town meeting has no authority to create this in and of itself, and it would be a statutory authority that would have to enact it. Thank you.
okay, Bob, then could you give Doreen a motion?
Donovan Corain, Precinct 3, move to defer in that case, based on the fact that we have no right to rule on this.
Okay, what's the motion to defer? Okay, the motion
Postpone
now.
indefinitely, sorry, postpone indefinitely.
Postpone. Yes. There's a motion now on this to postpone indefinitely. Is there a second to that motion to postpone? Yes, there are many. Are there any questions on postponement? There being none, we don't have to go on the screen. All in favor of postponing, raise their hands, please. It is postponed. Thank you. We are now going to Article 34.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Article 34. Ellen, I'll give you this microphone right here, so you don't have to climb through it. I move that the town meeting vote to update the soliciting bylaw as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes, there is a second or two.
Mrs. Ethia has an amendment.
I would like to make an amendment to the Article 34.
Oh, who's got an amendment? Doreen?
Mrs. Ethia.
I have it. Ellen Ethia, Precinct 5. I move that we amend Article 34 by deleting 8 p.m. in Section 18 and replacing it with 5 p.m.
Second. Could we have a copy of that, please? And then we should give it actually to Doreen. Give it to Doreen. Why won't you? You need it. Well, would you, somebody's got to let me read it. So what we're saying, I move that we amend Article 34 by deleting 8 p.m. in Section 18 and replacing it with 5 p.m. That's the amended motion. There is a second on that. So, I guess we first deal with the amended motion. All those in favor of the amended motion signify by raising their hands. All those opposed? None opposed. So I think it passes and it takes out, Bob, is Bob there? I think it takes out Article 34 as we had it. Huh? We're just fixing the time. Oh, okay, I see, we've changed the time.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Now we're voting on, are there any questions now that we fixed the time? Are there any questions on Article 34 as fixed? Fixing the time. Seeing no questions, and I guess we had a second on the amendment. Yes, we did. Let us vote on the amended Article 34. Right, is that what you wanted, Ginger? So I'll write that in my book. You know, you're good. Yes, I am. 83? Wait a minute. 83 to 2? That's it? Okay, 83 to 2. So, the Article 34 as amended is passed. 83 to 2 to 2. So now we go to Article 35.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Just for the record, these are by citizen petition, and for the last article and for these articles, the petitioner is here if there are any questions. Article 35, I move that the town meeting vote to approve a new traffic study bylaw is printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant. I further move that Article 35 be postponed until such time that it has been reviewed by the Board of Selectmen, the Zoning Bylaw Review Committee, and any committee hereafter recommended by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so I want a second on what Doreen read secondly. In other words, the postponement. I want a second on, I got a second. All those in favor of postponement, raise their hands, please. The article is postponed. Good, thank you, folks. Postponed, I got it here. All right, Article 36.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Article 36. I move that the town meeting vote to approve that all decision-making boards and commissions shall be televised and recorded for replay and archival purposes, to include the Auburn Water Commissioners and other boards as needed. Subcommittees will remain exempt.
Okay, is there a second? There is a second. Are there any questions? There's a question here. Oh, yes, on the board. Yes, thank you. Good, fine. Well, Mrs. Wyman.
I think, I was going to ask for an opinion from Mr. Hennigan, so I think he's prepared to provide that. Thank you.
Okay, Bob.
I hope I'm answering your question. I was just going to advise town meeting that this article, as presented, includes the Auburn Water District Commissioners. The Auburn Water District, of course, is a separate entity created by statute. Town meeting has no authority over the Auburn Water District or any of its commissioners. My recommendation would be that the motion not be acted on unless the words the Auburn Water District Commission is stricken.
So do you want us to postpone it, Bob?
You could either postpone and it could be recreated, or you could vote it with the
Defeated?
with the defeated, obviously, or the exclusion of the words Auburn Water Commission. My objection is the Auburn Water Commissioner. Town meeting has no authority to do that. Thank you.
So could somebody move to take out the commission? Okay, so if you want to vote on this, what you have to do is get out the include Auburn Water Commission. And our other boards, Bob?
Matthew Ruffley, Precinct 5. If we take out Auburn Water Commission, are there currently any active town boards that do not already fall under this, where they are being recorded?
I think at this time, we only have one, which is the Sewer Commission that is not televised.
We have a question coming up.
Yeah, I see it.
Sarah Libby, Precinct 5. My question was I was just curious why the select board does not recommend approval. Was it just from the Auburn Water Department or was there something else? Thank you.
Somebody on the board.
Todd Kareem, Board of Selectmen. That's correct. Because it included the Auburn Water District, we did not feel as though we had jurisdiction over it.
So we should postpone it?
Mr. Moderator?
No.
Mr.
Yes.
Moderator, the petitioner has requested to speak on this. The petitioner has requested to speak on this.
Oh, sure. Where is the, up there, oh, up.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Robert Tatro, 4 Ridgewood Drive, Precinct 1. Just to give you a little background on this. So I agree with the attorney's assertion, no question that we don't really have the authority over the water district. But again, this is my point of this. It's a probing question, deliberately intended to find out how do we go about it. We have questions that have gone on in the water department. There's been numerous complaints and issues that have gone on with social media. We have ethics violations that have recently occurred. And I don't have the time to go to a meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, or the third Thursday of the month, and sit and watch or go and review their meeting, their minutes. If they were on a YouTube channel, then I might be able to go and find out what's going on in my neighborhood. I actually called the water department last week. I live on Ridgewood Drive. They're getting ready to tear up Church Street, all the way over to Munger Drive, RH White area, that kind of thing. I called the water department and I asked why there was a blue spray paint and flags in my front yard, and the woman didn't know why and couldn't even answer my question. I mean, at the very least, this is just a matter of transparency. So yes, do I agree with the fact that maybe the Attorney General might come back and say, you have no authority to do this, but collectively as a group, where do we begin? How can we? So that's the reason I brought this question forward this evening.
Okay, I think, and Bob, if I'm wrong, let me know, that what we should do if we want to vote on it, there are two things we could do. We could postpone the whole thing, or we actually could vote on it. And in order to vote on it, because of the problem with the Auburn Water District, I would suggest that the motion should move. I move that the town meeting vote to approve that all decision-making boards, and, oh, Bob's going to do it for me.
No, Mr. Moderator, I recommend to postpone this indefinitely so that we can look at the issues and try to solve it internally.
I didn't hear it. Oh, okay, go hold till you sure. Okay, so
Since the town manager can't make a motion, I don't think, I move that we postpone this question indefinitely.
I couldn't hear you, but.
I move that we postpone this question indefinitely. Mike
Okay.
Marshall, Precinct 5.
Move to postpone. All right. Is there a second on postponement? Yes, there is. Is there a vote on postponing? Yes, there is. It's postponed. Thank you. I just want to write it in. Postpone. Okay, Noreen?
Article 37, Mr. Moderator.
Somewhere.
I move that the town meeting vote to postpone this article indefinitely.
Which one, 37?
37.
Okay, so now there's a movement to postpone 37 indefinitely. Is there a second? Is there a vote? Yes, vote. All those who wish to postpone indefinitely, raise their hands. All those who don't want to? No, I think we're going to we're postponing. Trust me. It's postponed. Yeah. 38.
Article 38, I move that the town meeting vote in support of the previously proposed building moratorium referring to Articles 6 and 7 of the Massachusetts Constitution, lack of procedural transparency, no formatted CMR, SOPs, and founded in racism per the attached independent peer review study, exclusionary by design, Amy Dane's research, November 23rd, and Race, Wealth, Equity, and Boston Indicators, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Thank you. Yeah. Is there a second? Okay, Bob, you wish to talk? Well, I thought you wanted.
Christian Adamiak from Precinct 2. I just have a question for the Select Board. You don't recommend approval for this? I'm just wondering what the rationale is.
Todd Corain, Board of Selectmen, thank you for the question. At the request of the petitioner, we had asked the town council for his legal opinion on whether the reasoning that the petitioner presented had any legal basis. The reason for this is because in order for the moratorium to be approved, it has to get approved by the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General has struck down recent requests similar to this, and we wanted to understand whether the legal reasoning was, and I will allow Attorney Hennigan to go into more detail if he wants, but his recommendation was that there was no legal basis to push this moratorium forward. The second reason why is because you just approved the moratorium requested by the Select Board that would allow us 180 days to amend our zoning to match our Housing Production Act and other plans that we had put forward. And our concern is that if both moratoriums go to the Attorney General's office, she will link both of them together and think that because one lacks legal basis and reasoning, she may then shoot down ours as well as being sort of an end run around state law.
So you want it defeated?
Yes, the Select Board recommended that you do not approve this.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, if I could just add to that, to the members of the town meeting, the legitimacy of a moratorium comes from the fact that the Attorney General will look to see if there is a legitimate planning purpose in providing a moratorium for your basis. In this particular article, the citizen's petition as written, there is no explanation as to what the legitimate planning purpose is. In Article 25, which you have just passed, there is a detailed listing of what the legitimate planning purpose is that the Attorney General may or may not accept, but at least it is there for you to hang your hats on. In this particular article, there is no such basis, and I agree that the Attorney General would have no reason to consider this or to pass it, and my recommendation is that the town meeting consider not passing this.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
with your permission, the petitioner has requested to speak.
Okay, the petitioner wishes to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Robert Tatro, 4 Ridgewood Drive. I think, again, I understand the assertion of the attorney. I don't think this is the purpose of, it doesn't share the same purpose of what the other town's moratorium is. This is blatantly pointing out that there is a racist systemic problem with 40B housing. If you look at Amy Dane from Dane Research, and if you look at the Boston Indicators, they're both mentioned in the first paragraph of the state's housing plan. And then if you go to the footnotes, you can verify that they used all that information, except for the one that you're holding here, which says that if towns are affluent enough, they can pay a higher level of property taxes so that they don't have to take state aid. And if they don't have to take state aid, they're not subject to 40B housing. That's not fair and equal enforcement of the laws. That's not how it works. I also will assert the fact that I believe that Article 6 of the Constitution is in question because we have one, or maybe there might be two, but I know of at least one gentleman that's going around with his company that basically builds all of these multi-unit divisions all over the place under the guise of being low-income housing, when I think Mr. Corain himself mentioned 10% of these are low-income housing. The rest are pretty expensive rent-wise. So I don't really know how they consider it low-income housing when a very small percentage of it is actually used for that purpose. So again, I see this as more of a message to the Attorney General and to the state that we found inherent racism in your system as we were examining it. It's pointed out right there, and you chose to ignore it. You can't skew the data. That's just not how it works. That's not following the science, as everyone likes to say today. So that's why I urge you to pass this. It's more of a statement that we don't accept systemic racism. It needs to be cut out regardless of what side of the aisle it's on. So, thank you.
Yes, Doreen.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I just wanted to follow up on this comment because there is a significant difference. There is a significant difference between low-income housing and affordable housing. Low-income housing falls under the government subsidized housing. The 40B is affordable housing, as known as affordable housing, and is based on a percentage of the annual income, which if an apartment is $2,600, an affordable apartment could be $2,200. So I don't agree that they should only have to give that amount, but that's what it is. But I just like us to be cautious when we use the words low income and affordable. We're talking about affordable housing. Thank you.
All right, do we have a second? Is there another?
Mike Marshall, Precinct 5. I just want to point out that in addition to everything else that's been said, I think the actual reasoning that's written in the warrant article is just incorrect if you actually read the article that it claims to be based on. I'm just going to read a quick quote. From 1968 through this 1975 culmination, civil rights activists and housing advocates led an intense charge to reform statewide zoning rules and local zoning policies to increase housing options available for all people and to integrate the region. In 1969, adoption of Chapter 40B was one success. This article is saying the exact opposite of what the warrant article seems to indicate that it says. I'm not going to get into like all the details on this research, but essentially, I don't think the basis of this warrant article makes any sense, and I move that town meeting postpone the vote on this indefinitely.
All right, there's a motion now to postpone this article. Is there a second to postponement? There is. All those in favor of postponement, raise their hands, please. All those opposed? The article is postponed. Okay, we now go to Article 39.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 39, I move that the town meeting vote to seek approval from the state legislature to explore a reconfiguration of the town tax base away from property tax to something different, presumably an income tax, which could piggyback what the state is already collecting from wages using Department of Revenue records, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes, there is. Are there any questions? Yes, where? John?
John Stencil, Precinct 5. I don't agree with this article at all, and I think it should be voted down. It's shifting the tax burden from property owners to the individual people. And I disagree with this.
Okay.
It should be posted down. We should vote no.
Are there any other questions or statements? Yes, Bob.
Mr. Moderator, again, through you to the members of the town meeting, again, the language of this particular article asks town meeting members to explore in this, and explore some kind of an interpretation for the statutory scheme of how our taxes are raised and so forth in Massachusetts. And that is a matter of obviously within the Massachusetts state legislature. So again, it is just asking you to explore. I don't know what you do with that, but there's nothing you can do tonight to vote that would enact this other than be acting in an advisory capacity. And if that's what the town meeting members choose to do, then that's what you could do. But other than that, there is nothing that you can that can be gained officially by your actions on this. It simply asks to explore. Again, it sounds like the petitioner may wish to consider doing what was done in Articles 30 and 31, work with the administration and come up with a petition that would file special legislation with the legislature for certain actions. But that's not what this says. This is a very open-ended petition to say we want to explore it.
Well, I certainly agree with that. It is meant to explore. We're a long way from voting on having our own public bank, so that when we decided to build a fire station, we were borrowing our own money instead of borrowing it from somebody else. There is no logical way, sort of, creating a lobbying firm or joining into some public, people that are always lobbying the State House, that have plenty of money and there's industry support and all the other stuff. This thing is a long shot, without a doubt, because there's plenty of people that will not want this. But for us, this is a good idea. So that's really what this comes down to. And of course, there are no laws, and there is no process even to create something like this, short of, we've seen too many revolutions in the world. The governments have a tendency to serve the rich, and we're middle class. We're not doing badly, but the governments serve the rich. And the purpose of the democracy is to serve the people. So if we cannot say to the government, we don't like the way you're telling us to tax ourselves, to spend our own money, to me, that's just nuts. We should be able to talk to the legislature and give them and put some wind in the sail. That's what this vote is. It's not going to change anything. We're a long way from the state writing a statute that creates a locally owned CDFI, or the state allowing us to decide how we want to tax ourselves. All this is putting wind in the sail that says, hey, you guys got to wake up. That's really what this is about. I've lobbied plenty of people over many years, over millions of different, well, not millions, lots of different issues, that there is something structurally wrong with the way we handle money. That's what these handouts are about. This is what the letter is I sent you. I've been in business long enough. We are on a collision course. We can pretend it's not going to happen, but we've seen 1929, we've seen 2008, we've seen 9/11, we've seen all kinds of trauma. There has to be a cause of this. This is such a subtle little change. This is about paying taxes. There's paying taxes. It's not that big a difference. We're buying insurance. We're still buying insurance. We have banking. We're still going to have banking. This is such a tiny, tiny little thing. And yet, if we decide as a group to do this, it could set off a chain reaction that would make a huge difference about where the power in this country resides. Does it reside in the town, or does it reside on Wall Street? Because it's pretty much as simple as that. Wall Street is just going to keep feathering their nest for another 100 years or 250 years. We need to do something collectively that ties us better than simply raising taxes on ourselves.
Yes,
and letting real estate keep going up.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Yes, motion postpone, is there a second? All those in favor of postponing indefinitely? All those opposed to postponing? It's postponed indefinitely. We are now on Article 40.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 40, I move that the town meeting vote to seek approval from the state legislature to explore the formation of a publicly owned community development financial institute, CDFI, in collaboration with the Division of Banks and the Division of Insurance, as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? Yes. Is it somebody to speak? Yes.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a motion to postpone indefinitely.
Okay, a motion has been made to postpone Article 40 indefinitely. Is there a second to postponing? There is. All those in favor of postponement, raise their hands. All those opposed to postponing is postponed. Okay, I guess we're now on Article 41.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Before, can you hear me? I think my battery's going dead. Before I read Article 31, I would respectfully request town meeting members to just, when we finish Article 41, respectfully request that we not immediately motion to adjourn. We have a couple of people who would like to say something at the end of town meeting. I promise it will only be a couple minutes. Having said that, Article 41, our last article, I move that the town meeting vote to mandate a comprehensive independent audit of the town of Auburn's assets, liabilities, expenditures, budget, investments, and operations as printed in the May 6, 2025 annual town meeting warrant.
Is there a second? I don't see any. Yeah, there's a second. There is a second. Okay. Are there any questions, statements, prayers?
Donovan Crane, Precinct 3. Do we know how much this independent audit is going to cost the town?
Okay, the question is, how much is this going to cost the town?
So, Danny Ladges, Precinct 4, I was the one who brought the petition up. There is no way to actually say what it's going to cost the town. So there was a gentleman, Mr. Richards, who came before the select board, and he asked for a DSL audit. This audit would take over after the state audit. So it's like going into a mechanic and saying, look, I want a brake job, but then different things come up. The price of it all depends on what firm the town uses, what the DSL audit comes up with from the state. The DSL audit is a free audit that the state will do. Yes, we do have a small audit done every year. I think it's fantastic. But myself, I would like to know where all the money is going. I mean, prime example, Camp Gleason. And a lot of people don't realize the dam over there is ready to go. The dam has been on the endangered list since 2001. In 2011, the gate broke open. They had to repair the dam, and I believe it was at a cost of $400,000, and that was only the gate. Mark Mallard had to take a steel plate and put it over on Eddy Pond to stop that all from draining. And as far as I know, there's not a dam on Eddy Pond. Those are 6 cement blocks that were used to slow the flow down. But now we also have the underground culverts that are plugged. I want to know what it's going to cost us, the taxpayers, down the line, because we're overlooking this. This is since 2001. And that's not the only dam. The rest of the dams are ready to go too. We need to know what it's going to cost this town. And we need to know what we're spending on this. If you look at every single budget we did here tonight. Everything is rounded up. There's not an exact cost to anything. Everything's rounded up. What happens to the extra money that we vote on? Where does it go?
Right,
I want to
Mr.
know.
Largesse, one of the members of the Board of Selectmen would like to speak.
Well, I understand that, sir, but Mr. Concivio didn't get shut off.
You've been
Okay? I am all set the gentleman, Mr. Corain, can speak.
Thank you. Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator and Mr. Largess. Todd Crane, Board of Selectmen. To answer the member's question, our town administrator, town manager requested, provided the scope of services in the warrant article to an auditing firm asking for approximate price. They came back, it would be $300,000 to conduct this audit.
Doreen.
Point of order.
Doreen.
I was waiting.
Well,
Point of order, I was waiting.
I understand, I haven't spent, it comes back with a ratio of 5 to 1. Every dollar spent, 90% of them, the majority, come back with $5. So, that's it. Just because somebody doesn't want to hear anything, we move to hold it, you know?
Okay, good. Yes? Sir?
Joe Martin, Precinct 2. You referred to the town of Dudley in this article. Their budget is $30 million a year, and they were expecting it to be $700,000. So you might have got $300,000, but that's the floor. The other thing too is in here, you mentioned that did you talk to the DOR because you wanted to file an audit with them? You want to? Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. Our town attorney would like his information for us, is that correct?
I do, Mr. Chairman. If the member is finished speaking, I don't want to interrupt.
No, I'm not because 300,000 is low. The town of Dudley was expecting it to be 700,000, number one. Number two, there's two other options that we have. The DOR could do, through the Division of Local Services, they could do an audit. And the state audit could do an audit. So there's two other options we have that would cost us nothing. So I don't know why you're afraid of spending a few $100,000 on Camp Gleason, but you want to spend $300,000 to $700,000 on an audit?
Can we file a motion
Really?
to postpone indefinitely?
I'd like to make that motion to postpone indefinitely.
Mr. Hennigan is here tonight. Oh, you've just postponed, you've moved to postpone? Good. Is there a second to postponing? All those in favor of postponing? All those opposed? Okay, now, I must apologize. I'm not keeping you here till around 11:30 tonight, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's time to dissolve, people.
Mr. Moderator? Mr. Moderator? Mr. Moderator?
Yeah?
It has been my privilege and my pleasure to serve under you as a town meeting member from Precinct 4, and then Precinct 5, and now Precinct 3. And I think the town manager would like to say a word, and then we have two other brief statements.
Okay. So somebody wants to speak?
Mr. Moderator.
Oh, yes.
So back in 2016, you retired as the moderator, but yet here you are, 9 years later. I would like to say thank you so much from our town residents for all you have done, for your commitment to the town of Auburn, for your volunteerism. The Board of Selectmen have talked about this multiple times. They did it recently at their the volunteer recognition ceremony. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything you've done. We're going to miss you. And good luck on your retirement.
Thank you. Good Lord. Thank you. You know, the reason I did it is because I like the people in town meeting.
Mr. Moderator, I do ask indulgence for one moment. Our longest-serving town meeting member here tonight with us, who deserves applaud herself. She's been serving since 1978. Ellen Ethia would like to say a word.
Thank you.
When I first started town meeting, we were in the high school. It was folding chairs on a flat level thing and no air conditioning. And it was nothing for town meeting to go at least 3 nights till midnight. Sometimes it went 4 nights. This is major changes what we have here, voting electronically. We don't have to have counters anymore. We have improved with time. So I thank you all. I did put my name on the ballot again to be elected for this year.
You've had a
And-
great career.
And having,
And having said that, I would make a motion to adjourn with a standing ovation for our outgoing moderator.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.